德州很大，风景如画。Hello， 大家好，我是索菲亚。那大家可以看到，我现在所在的地方呢，就是今天我要带大家来看的这个产权公司。为什么我会在产权公司呢？因为呢，我今天要带大家了解一下这个关于美国呢买房子过户的这个流程。然后主要是呢，我们也有请到了我们的重量级嘉宾 Kelly， 他是在这个产权公司的工作人员。然后他是会给我们等一下详细的讲解一下关于这些过户的情况，包括呢跟我们公司的这个合作的情况。那今天呢就是带了有关这个产权公司的内容和采访。那大家也知道，这个产权呢公司就是过户啊 ，closing title company 是我们这个购房环节非常非常重要的一环。那产权公司就在购买房屋中所起到的这个价值和作用呢是什么呢？等一下也会由 Kelly 帮我们讲解。那我们的业务流程就 Wan Bridge 公司又有哪些关联呢？就今天呢，我带大家来一探究竟。然后呢，我们就会也是带大家去参观一下这个产权公司，来满足一下大家的好奇心，看看我们的产权公司呢到底长什么样子。好了，那等一下我们就先来采访一下我们的 Kelly 吧。Hello, Kelly. Would you please introduce yourself and your company and title?
Sure. I'm the branch manager, senior vice president here for Republic Title. We're here in Plano, Texas at Preston and Legacy.
Okay, thank you so much. So, can I ask you a few questions about the title because our investor are really interested about this part?
Sure.
Thank you. What's the title company roles in the transaction of the properties?
Well, we're a third party, a disinterested third party. We issue the title insurance to the buyer. In Texas, the title insurance is mandated by the State Board of Insurance, so it's a regulated fee. And that title insurance insures the buyer from the beginning of time up until the day that they close, that they have free, clear title to the property. So we handle all the money comes through us, and then we disperse it in accordance with the contract.
Okay, thank you. So, why does the title company, instead of the other entities, receive the fund during the property transaction?
Well, it's actually negotiable. It's noted in the contract. Typically, the title company takes those funds in because we're a neutral party. We don't represent the buyer or the seller, so we just follow the lines of the contract. That way, if there's an issue between the buyer and the seller, the funds are here protected until there's an agreement made.
Okay, thank you. So what's the settlement process? What's the important document involved in the process?
Well, it all begins when we get the contract. Once the buyer and the seller have executed a contract, the terms are agreed upon. And then we'll pull title on that particular property to see if there are any liens against the property, who the vested owners are. We do all the research from beginning of time up until when we close. The buyer will get a title commitment through the process, and that is basically what their policy is going to look like. It tells us what we need to clear up, what we need to pay through closing, so that's going to be an important document on top of the contract. And then, of course, the survey. When the survey is completed, the buyer will want to review it and make sure the property matches the contract.
Okay, thank you so much. So, next question. What are the things that the buyer should pay attention to when purchasing a U.S. property, like the confirmation of the receipt, something like that?
Yes, the receipt is very important, and note that in Texas, any funds over $1,500 require certified funds, meaning a wire transfer or a cashier's check. So if you're sending in funds for closing, it needs to be in one of those methods, and that's a state law. It's not a title company requirement, it's a state law. So you want to make sure that when you get your receipt for your earnest money that it matches the funds that you sent in. And then at closing, you'll need to make sure that the final funds are in certified format.
Okay, thank you. For next question, what are the things that the buyer need to pay attention during the closing? How do you think?
They want to make sure that their name is spelled right, that the property is the actual property they contracted for. They want to make sure that the earnest money is credited correctly, that the sales price is correct. So basically, they just want to double check the fine point of the contract and make sure that their name is spelled correctly, listed correctly.
Okay, thank you. So after closing, how long does it take for the buyer to get the deed?
The deed gets electronically filed the day that we fund. So it's pretty quick. We can actually turn around and give a copy of the deed, the filed deed, the next day if they need it. What we do and what most title companies do is once the deed has been filed and we've issued our final title policy, we email those documents to the buyer. That generally happens about 10 days after closing.
Oh, okay. So it is how does it like the process
Yes.
for the deed? Okay, thank you so much. So after closing, how can the buyer verify the authenticity of the deed?
Well, that's why you need a reputable, good title company, because a title company does that for you. And when you get title insurance, that title insurance insures you that you are the vested owner of the property. That's why it's important that you make sure your name is correct on the documents, that it's correct on the contract, and that warranty deed, the title company will make sure that it's filed correctly, filed with the right lot and block, and the correct name, but you'll just want to double check it.
Okay, thank you. How many homes at the Wan Bridge did your company help to close?
We've been working with Wan Bridge really from the beginning. So we've been with them for about 8 years.
Wow.
We've closed hundreds of homes. And if you take a look at my office, you'll see what we have in our pipeline, which is exciting and a lot.
Wow, that's really long time worship. So what's your overall comment about the our company? I mean the Wan Bridge.
We love them. They're great to work with. We don't have any issues. They've been wonderful, inventive, and a really good group to work. We've watched them grow. They've grown so much, and we feel very lucky to be with them.
Okay, thank you so much. I feel so sweet. Thank you. 非常感谢凯莉呢，帮我们就是回答了我们一些就是我们有关于产权过户的问题。那么下面呢，就是他会详细的帮我们去解释一下关于这个过户文件。当然呢，如果我们后期就是可以把这个过户文件 key 在我们的屏幕上啊，或者是有什么方式让大家可以看一下。但是我们的 Kelly 呢也会帮我们解释的非常非常的详细。那么好，下面就是有请他来帮我们解释一下吧。So thank you, Kelly. Could you explain explanation for some different part for the document?
Yeah.
Thank you.
The closing documents on a cash transaction are going to be very minimal. There's not very much for the buyer to sign. The most important document is the settlement statement. That's an itemization of all the fees, the closing costs. You'll see the sales price, you'll see any closing costs that the buyer is obligated to pay per the contract, and then the final number that's needed for closing. So that's going to be your first document that you'll see when you do your closing documents. The general warranty deed, that gets signed by the seller only, so you don't see that during closing. Only the seller signs it, but you will get a copy of it after closing. If you would like a copy of it prior to closing or with the closing documents, just ask and we can send the unexecuted copy over. That's the document that changes title from the vested owner to the new buyer. The privacy statement, that's just us letting you know that we don't release your private info out to anybody. The warranty deed gets filed in public record. So when that deed gets filed, anybody can go see who the new owner is, but none of your private information is being given to anybody. The consent to tax proration is a form that talks about how our taxes are prorated between the buyer and the seller at closing. Our property taxes in Texas get paid once a year and they get paid at the very end of the year. So for the first part of the year, prior to the bills coming out, the seller has to credit the purchaser for taxes for the time that they own the property. And that's that tax proration agreement. It shows how we prorated the taxes, the value that we used, and the calculations. And then the attorney rep agreement. In Texas, you have to have attorneys prepare documents, and that agreement is just letting you know that you or the seller has paid for document preparation. It's not for legal representation, it's just for closing documents. The post-closing form that the buyer signs, that just tells us how we reach you after closing, where you're going to want your tax bills, your future mail to go, and then your contact information if we have any issues down the road that we need to reach out to you about. And then the waiver of inspection is just a document letting you know that we, the title company, do not physically go out and look at the property. We can't tell you if it's vacant or occupied since we don't inspect it. And that's it.
Okay, thank you so much. Wow, 他帮我们解释的非常非常的详细。我相信呢，经过Kelly 帮我们解释了这些之后呢，帮我们讲解了，那我们大家对于这个关于过户的问题，一定已经有了一个详细的了解。那非常感谢 Kelly 对我们的讲解。那么接下来呢，我们可能要问一问，可不可以帮忙Kelly 带我们去参观一下他们的公司，因为刚才我进来的时候，这个公司真的是非常的漂亮。那么来让我请问一下吧。那接下来呢，Kelly 请 Kelly 帮我们介绍一下他的公司，我们就跟着 Kelly 一起参观吧。Yeah, we can start.
Okay,
yeah, thank you.
This is our new office. This is our seating area. We have several conference rooms.
Sitting area is for the guest waiting, right?
Yes, this is waiting. This is one of our closing rooms.
刚才的呢，就是我们的这个客户的等待区域。这个也是一个小的这个会议室，如果我们有这个过户的客人呢，也可以在这边。
This is where our receptionist sits. This is Tammy.
Hello, Tammy. 这是我们的前台，我们可爱的 Tammy。我们非常漂亮的前台部分。
And then this is another one of our closing rooms.
这是我们的另一个的那种过户的房间会议室。大家有没有觉得很眼熟？对，刚才对 Kelly 的采访呢，就是在这个房间。
Here's another one.
还有另一间我们的漂亮的会议室，是用来我们的签过户文件那我本人呢也是签过过户文件，也是在这边，就真的是还蛮久的签一次。
This is where our training room is. So we have a large training room back here.
Okay, thank you. 这是我们的这个
You're welcome.
这是我们的这个训练的房间，我们的 training room， 然后会有一些员工在这里。Hello, good morning. Thank you.
I'm training them.
Oh, really? Oh. Okay, thank you. 这是他们的培训室，哇，非常的大。这边还有小零食，然后还有可乐饮料，然后大家可以看到，这边的环境也是非常的好老师正在讲课，我不打扰他们了，我先走。Thank you. Sorry. Okay. 说到饮料和可乐呢，刚才呢前台的等待区。Hi,
Lorena is our receptionist.
她也是我们的前台。Hello, good morning.
Your China team works with her a lot.
我们的前台等待区呢，也是有很多的小零食、小饮料用来给我们等待的客人。然后这边呢，已经是我们的办公区域了。
Work area.
所以呢，我现在声音会放小一点，因为这是他们的办公区域。我不想打扰大家的工作，大家都很努力哦，在这边。
This is Jessica.
Hello, Jessica. Hey, hi, nice to meet you.
This is Sophia.
Hey.
This is my office in here.
哇，这就是我们 Kelly 的 office， 就她的办公室非常的漂亮真的很漂亮。 我们的 Kelly 人也很漂亮，然后办公室也很漂亮。
It's our lunch area.
哦，这是员工的午餐间，给大家看一下。员工呢，中午的时候就可以在这边吃午饭，然后就进行一个短暂的午休。
This is Angie.
Oh, hi Angie. I'm Sophia. Nice to meet you.
You can see up here, these are all of your
Documents.
homes.
Oh my god.
All Wan Bridge right here.
来给大家着重介绍一下这一趴，为什么呢？因为这个大家现在能看到的，哎，这个抽屉里面，2个抽屉里面，还有背景墙上，还有这个所有的大家能看到文档，全部都是我们 Wan Bridge 公司的，有没有很厉害？是不是非常厉害？哇，这么多文档。
It's a lot.
Yeah, it's really hard. Okay. Oh, thank you. 这就是我们呢这个漂亮的这个产权公司的介绍，让Kelly 带着我们去跟大家身临其境啊，都走了一下这个，就是感受了一下这个过户的这个过程，在这个产权公司绕了一圈。然后最后呢，我们就止步于我们的客人等待区域。刚才照的比较短，给大家看一下我们的客人等待区域，这边也有这个电视啊、零食、咖啡什么的，让我们在等待过程中不会那么漫长，有点事情做。好了，那么今天就到这边。那今天呢，我们的这个产权公司的采访过程呢，就先到这里了。在我们的视频里面也跟大家的详细的讲解了，就是我们经常会有的一些疑问，因为我们大家也不了解流程嘛。当然，包括我今天也是学到了很多东西。然后呢，也会知道了我们产权公司它这个文件呢，到底是一个每一项都是怎么样去理解、怎么样去解读的。然后大家也看到了我们非常漂亮的、非常大的以客人、以人为本的一个产权公司，就是为我们的就是顾客服务，为我们大家服务的是这样一个状态。也可以看到这个产权公司确实跟我们的 Wan Bridge 呢合作了很多年。大家可以刚看到那个长长的那个文件柜啊，就一大排，然后底下2个大抽屉全部都是我们 Wan Bridge 公司，当然还有这只是现场的有的这些文件，还有一大部分是在电脑里面，就是无纸化办公嘛，无纸化环境。那么今天就先到这边喽。如果大家有下次还有什么其他感兴趣的内容呢，也可以跟我们讲，然后我们呢就看看可不可以再做一期别的大家感兴趣的内容。好，非常感谢大家，今天就先到这里喽，拜拜，我们下次见，啾咪。